And it's me, Jenna McClelland, coming to you live in Austin, Texas. Very, very happy to be here, to be back home. Austin has been home for me since, probably about like 8 years old. I'm from South Texas, and we had a family lake house ever since I was a kid, and in Lake Travis, on Lake Travis. And every summer we would come up to Austin and spend a lot of time here in the hill country. So the energy of Austin has always been dear to my heart. It's a space where I feel definitely more like most comfortable in my skin. I think that we all have different locations and places on the earth where we just really feel deeply into ourselves. We feel safe, we feel expressive, authentic, and then there's other parts of the country or the world where it doesn't feel as um, free. Like you don't feel like there's as much possibility and potential for life. And, I would probably argue that could be due to the consciousness level of the location, and that the people that are existing and living there 100%. I didn't really expect to kind of take it this way, but today is about really getting to know me. And so just here's a little bit about me. Um, like, for example, Sedona, the land of Sedona in Arizona has a consciousness of about 400 plus, and that's pretty high on the scale of consciousness. Like, if you were to think about like how people are operating, most people walking the earth are out of 100, 115, 125 range. So if you have kind of surpassed and awakened and really done some inner healing work and find yourself to be connected to the divine, you will easily surpass into this higher realm of consciousness. And when I say this, I'm speaking specifically about the consciousness map in which David Hawkins has developed. So yeah, so back in Austin, and before this, I was living in a small town, well, temporarily, in a small town in North Carolina called Pinehurst. It was the home of American golf. It was beautiful. I mean, you're living amongst the pines and the trees, and the way the light would cast and just all the rays would penetrate through the trees was really special and really beautiful. And the architecture and the homes and the cottages and the history was definitely alive, including all of the like all the flowers and everything that could grow there. I know there's some really beautiful flowers and wildflowers that can grow here in Texas, but really not to the extent of what it can in other areas in the country. So being around flowers, which obviously I love, I work with them. I'm also, kind of like an herbalist light when it comes to everything that I do and everything that I make with my potions and all the oils and perfumes and whatever it is that I do with Elor. But yeah, so being in North Carolina was such a beautiful experience for me, because it forced me to go into like isolation and to really cocoon so that I could become the woman that I am today. I didn't really have any friends there. It was really difficult for me to establish deep connections with people. Again, it was just, I felt like energetically, and, I don't say this, I'm not trying to bash. People are where they are. Everyone makes their choices, and bless them for like really knowing what it is that they want in life and like how they direct and decide to choose to live their life. So, but I always felt this interesting, like, energetic cast web net around around it, and it felt super capped for me. So it forced me to go inside. It forced me to spend a lot of time studying and healing and going into my vagina, to be honest. Like, that's I mean, that's what I do, right? So it it forced me to really go deep and to cry and to see what it is that I was holding on to that was preventing me from being the woman that I've always like pictured and wanted to become. So I established a really beautiful relationship with myself, a really beautiful relationship with my body, with my voice. I started to feel a lot more free in my body and being able to express myself, even alone. Like, there has always been, like, for example, when I was living in Sedona, I had a friend, and they do, I mean, very similar to Austin, these ecstatic dance uh, parties and these gatherings that are really beautiful, and alcohol was not available. It was just people showing up, being true, expressing the flow of life that's like moving through their veins, and just dancing and being silly and being sexy and being whatever it is that they wanted to be, and they allowed that to flow through them, and they didn't allow, maybe not allow, but they just didn't care. They didn't care what other people think of them. And so I remember I'd be like, okay, Jenna, like, because I don't know like when it was, maybe in college, when dancing without alcohol like was just so difficult for me. Like it was just like I have to had some form of influence. I had to have some form of like that liquid courage to make me feel free. And about 2 years ago, I was like, not anymore. Like, you need to still be able to express. You still need to be able to feel your body deeply and express it authentically without fear of judgment. But the judgment that was coming from me was the judgment of myself. And so in North Carolina, that judgment, that voice in which was kind of always trying to put that energetic cap over me to really experience life without judgment was really loud. So North Carolina was a very beautiful, 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 beautiful time. I don't think I've done as much healing. I've done as much growth. And yeah, so I'm finally here. And look at me, right? Like I have a microphone. I'm getting more comfortable getting in front of the camera. And I like ever since I was maybe like in middle school, high school for sure, I was the Jenna that everybody wanted to go to for advice. Everyone was like, we would joke that I needed to create a channel called 1-800 it's Jenna. So people could just call me up at any time and ask me questions. I've always really enjoyed helping people. I've always enjoyed being support and empowering them to see the truth and to see the beauty that is them and that is inside of them. And I've definitely continued to do that all the way until today. And like even then, I mean, when I launched Elore and I had my market debut in Nashville, I can't even tell, hundreds of people have been like, why don't you have your own channel? Or do you have a podcast? I can listen to you all day. You have so much to say. And I've always just been like, do I? Like it is this real? There's just so many, there's just like so much of this shit. There's just so much podcast. There's so much people like coming up and having an opinion and this and that. And then, okay, so what? So everyone's doing it. So I can't, I guess maybe, that was the cap. So here I am. And I've been encouraged by a lot of people to show up and to be myself and to share all the knowledge and the information that I have been gathering and building and embodying. There's just a lot of embodiment that comes with the work that I do. And Elore has definitely taken some time. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, when I say the word Elore, Elore is my women's sexual empowerment healing brand. And it started 2 years ago when no, actually it didn't. I take that back. Well, it did start 2 years ago in the sense, 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years ago when I was already on a healing journey and I was making my own, I was learning how to heal asthma like on my own. And I part of that was eliminating toxins and chemicals and all these different types of synthetics that we have around us all day, every day in the environment here. So, for example, cleaning supplies, I started making my own cleaning supplies. I started taking some like herbology 101 type classes, like herbalism. And even as a little girl, I would pick flowers. And I remember with my friend 80, we would go around a garden at her house and we would just pick all these really pretty flowers and put them in a gold, a bowl, and just create our own potions. I've always loved flowers. I've always loved to play with the earth. I've always wanted to create magic, and I've always just deeply, deeply admired the ability to understand the constituents and the biochemistry of these plants. So along that journey of really knowing, I was like, wow, I am connecting to this little girl, and this little girl is really beautiful. So why not continue to play? And even when I had my yoga studio here in Austin, my specialty was, prior to me teaching you, I would have a consultation and I would serve homemade teas and things that I would make, and did tea service, and going back to those conversations and those moments that we can cultivate around a cup of tea, because it's very nurturing. It's there's so much love. I mean, sure, there's definitely a lot of amazing conversations that we can have with a glass of wine or whatever, but there is something specific about having a conversation and comforting a friend, or being comforted by yourself via a hot cup of tea. So that was an element of my inner child that I've just really brought forward, therefore tracing back to 2.5 years ago, when I had a girlfriend and I was already into the sexual healing. I was doing some work because that was the foundation of getting rid of the chronic asthma that I had. Was asking the uncomfortable question: where are these doors that you've locked? What have you not been looking at? What are you really hiding from on a deep, deep level? So that specifically in my case, well, actually, I think like everybody's case, let's be real, has to do with sexuality. Like, where are we? Who are we as sexual beings? Like, what's the shame? What's being projected onto us? Is there repression? What's the suppression? So when I was kind of moving and feeling comfortable, I mean, I've always been a very sexual person. I've always loved to joke. I mean, like, I don't know if this is going to come off weird, but like even joke, like pervert, like some perverts crack me up. And not to say that I'm going into the realm of like extreme dark perversion, which is actually circumcision, but yeah, I've always been asexual being, and I've always had this love and drive for conversations about sex, and deep down I think we all do. And we all do need to heal our relationship with our body, our relationship with our genitals, and our relationship with sex. So in 2.5 years ago, a girlfriend was like, "Hey, I'm having a Christmas party specifically for women." And at this hot lingerie store that I actually now sell at. And I want you to make something specific for everybody for these like little Christmas party favors. And I sat back and really thought about what was the energy that I wanted to bring forward. How did I want to represent myself? How did I want to represent the idea of a woman? How did I want to represent those women in addition to, right? Like, who were going to be receiving this potion that I was just going to come up with and create. And I just downloaded okay, let's do a yoni oil. Cool. That sounds great. Like, you're developing your relationship with your womb. You're developing your relationship with your yoni. And for those who don't know what a yoni is the sacred portal. It's source. It's our womb. It's a woman's sexuality that has the ability to kind of transmute, alchemize, and to be the doorway between life and death and dimensions. So, a loaded word for sure, but a loaded pussy, right? Like, we all have this amazing like portal that is psychedelic, like truly psychedelic. it's just to me, and the fact that that isn't even like information that that many people discuss or talk about, it's just it's wild. It's wild. Because it's shameful, it's wrong, it's dirty, it's ugly, it's this and that. So yeah, it truly is a magnificent, it's its own being, right? If you develop a relationship with your yoni, you will constantly be guided into life. Like that connection that you can feel, it's like your breath on some interesting level, like on decisions or making yes or certain conversations. What lights you up? What turns you on? Right, following that excitement for life, and your yoni, it gives you signals, and she is a navigation system, a compass for what's really going to put you in onto the track of your purpose and mission. So I ended up making this yoni oil called Oh Miso Yoni, and I downloaded the ingredients. I didn't even really test it, honestly. I just did it. I just made it. I just knew how I wanted it to smell. I knew which essentials I wanted to do. I knew there was just like certain oils that I wanted to mix in. And it was the most beautiful thing ever. And it was the most beautiful experience for me, channeling that divine like information, channeling that expression. And it was just like one shot, and it and it happened. And a really good friend of mine who's helped me with all the branding and everything, and even for my yoga studio Obsidian, she helped me put together the label and everything. And I mean, it was wild. And so by the time the party showed up, I had 35 of these bottles, and I left some for the boutique L's, which is one of the most beautiful lingerie stores. Just I haven't seen one like to beat this. This is amazing. And she was like, look, this is unbelievable, Jenna. Why we have to get rid of one product, which was like so lucky for me. Texas is giving us a lot of difficulties with hemp and with CBD, and we don't want to deal with that. And this is just perfect. Can we sell it? Today it is the highest sold product at L's. People wait a long time because I make everything myself, so people will wait. There's wait lists for my yoni oil, and it's something that is just very yummy. And if you're going to sell my yoni oil, like you have to understand me, and you have to understand the message, really. When I was at the debut in Nashville, people would come up to me and I'd say, look, like if you're not willing to have a 60 to 90-minute consult call to understand me, to understand the message, to understand the beauty that is this product, then this just isn't going to work for me, because I need to stay very connected. And the types of relationships that I am developing are very feminine, are very supportive. And I want to nurture the longevity of this, because I do truly have a mission. And the mission is to help women feel empowered by reconnecting to a part of themselves that has been so, 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 so sadly shamed. And just like when I can connect to that energy, it's just so heartbreaking. How people talk to about their body, and the limitations that disconnecting and dissociating from a woman's like pussy energy is. It's sad. Like it is. And um which is why it's taken me a while to go on this path and really get the wheels up, because I've needed to do the healing. I need to embody this work. I need to go deep into the abyss of this portal that is in between my legs. And how can I sell? How can I promote? How can I be? How can I embody? And enroll others to join me into a mission in which I am not fully embodying myself. It's just it doesn't work. That's essentially how I was as a yoga teacher. Like the better you are a student, the better a teacher you are. So if I'm not doing the work, if I'm not actually just super active and always creating this space of compassion, not compassion, well, compassion too, but this space of expansion and this space of just like really being everything that I say, then it's almost, it's like I'm not an imposter. I'm not an imposter in life. Like I'm not manipulative in any way, because manipulation can happen in the most subtle ways. Manipulation can happen easily by just holding a piece of you back, by not speaking your truth, by not speaking um what like who you are. Like, just like if you're not expressing who you are and you're people pleasing all the time, it's manipulation. Like you're just walking around with a mask on and manipulating people to think that you're something when you're not. So yeah, I've had to do the work, and living in North Carolina really helped me do that. I've got some really intense stories of what that was like. I mean, this isn't stories that's like, oh, me and another person type stories. No, this is like crazy fucking stories that I've had on my own, and really, really beautiful. I mean, I know it's not ending, right? Like I would be ignorant to say that, oh, like I'm back from North Carolina and I'm in Austin and this is done. Like I'm transforming, and the brand will transform, and the people that I meet hopefully will want to join me and transform too. So essentially that is who I am. I'm super knowledgeable in all things like metaphysical, very, very spiritual woman. I'm very dialed into my body. I love to learn. Like if I'm not learning something and growing, like it's just, I go crazy. Like if there's something that all of a sudden like a light bulb comes on, like I'm in it. I'm either 0 or 100. There is no in between for me. Like I'm committed, and I'm going to give it everything that I have, or like the energy isn't there, and I'm going to do the next thing that I need to do in order to continue to keep that excitement and that passion rolling and alive for me. And I may be into something one time, and then maybe it's going to turn and it's going to turn into something different, and maybe I'll visit that other thing. But for the most part, yeah, I'm lots of self-study. I've essentially taught myself how to become a sex coach, and some through my own self, right? And I love epigenetics. I just love everything. And I've got the most incredible, integral spiritual mentor named Brenda Pantango, who is just like on another level. She's angelic. And there's always room to be better. There's always room to look deeper and see, okay, wow, now that that layer is gone, I know there's another layer. Let's do it. And I've always told her, like, let's fucking go. Like, like, even if this hurts, even if this is painful, like, let's do it. Let's move. Let's grow. Let's like just uncover it. So it can just like container to hold on to happiness, and my container to be alive, it becomes bigger and more expansive, and I can live more in that space. The more I'm pulling out the weeds and the more I'm pulling out the density. So there's this lightness that can begin to fill the space. And um yeah, and being back in Austin is such a beautiful place to be. This is not essentially where my new home. I'm still looking, which is kind of a bitch, but it's part of the process. And then I'm drinking pond water I grabbed from Lake Austin. I'm just kidding. That was a really bad joke. um yeah, so I have yet to fully come on and talk about who I am and who is this girl online, obsessive and talking about circumcision. That is just, I mean, it's a topic that like it just change. It'll just change. It's so important to me. Like it will change. See even look at my mannerisms and like how my energy has changed as soon as I started to talk about circumcision. Like it is so important. And I knew that this was going to be a mission, but I didn't think it would be this big to the extent of what it is today. There really aren't that many people out there, and if they are, they're not getting shit. like nobody's out there talking about this. Nobody's liking their content. And I'm not saying like, these need to be some people who, need to be famous or anything. No, I said it in my last video, like we need an audience. This topic needs deeply, desperately, for the sake of humanity. Really, it will, in the United States mostly, needs an audience, needs some fucking hearts and shit. So yeah, the circumcision stuff is just another element to everything that I'm doing. And honestly, I came on here just now. I was like, just get on there and just talk and talk about you. So now I don't really know where I am and where I'm taking this call. But again, yeah, like 1-800, it's Jenna. And this is essentially who I am, and I am embarking on a new chapter. A lot of the ties that I have from my previous have pretty much ended. So the closing of one and then the entering into other, it's just such a really beautiful moment in life. Like this moment will just be gone, and then all this other stuff will happen in this chapter. But I want to relish this time and really ground myself in what it's like to share what I know and share who I am, so I can develop deeper into teaching this type of content. I absolutely love to teach. Teaching yoga for 10 years it was just amazing. Like absolutely amazing. I love to inspire people. I love working with the body. Love working with the body. I mean, I don't, there's nothing more beautiful. Sure, that we have sunsets, sunrises, and mountains and oceans and all that stuff, but I truly think the body is the most intelligent and the most magnificent by far. And women's bodies are, to me, the most cherished. Like there is not anything more beautiful than a woman's body. It doesn't get any better than that. Like seeing like the silhouette of a woman and her backside and just how she casts this beautiful shadow, but then she can radiate all this light. The polarity, and it's just, women are incredible. And not many of them really understand that. They don't know that. And it is my mission to help them step into the shoes of what it is to be a woman, and to remove the mask, and to stop fucking people pleasing, and to be comfortable taking up space and asking for help and asking questions. And I am sexual, and this is what I want in bed. Like I know my body so well. This is what I want. And we deeply desire to be seen. It's terrifying. It's not easy when someone can really look at you and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like I love to be vulnerable. Maybe you don't. I love to be vulnerable, but here's this person who is just capable of holding all of me. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in being held. So to help women awaken and to see the divine feminine and to see the goddess within is really, 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 really important important to me. So the Elure has definitely begun to transform the offerings or the products that I'm making, and that's what's so cool. Like I think luxury has definitely, like, it sucks. Like luxury is just made in a fucking factory in China. Like, sure, there's definitely some furniture and artwork and things that you can get from. Well, I mean, some of that street art and stuff is all just like mass produced and bullshit. And then you have a lot. That's actually another rabbit hole. I'm gonna stop. Um, yeah, like a really good friend of mine has the most incredible um he's not really a friend. Like he's a soulmate, and I believe that soulmates, there's so many of us. They're not just lovers. Soulmates come in different forms, as animals, as family members, as friends, as teachers, however that may be. And Henry is 100% one of my soulmates. And he'll pull out like Tom Ford and YSL, and like we're playing dress up and having the best time. And then I'll be like, okay, well, what's this material? Like, what is this made out of? And then I'll just see synthetics. I'll see a lot of polyester, a lot of rayon, nylon, all these like fabrics that have the frequency level of a dead body. Like, people are, the biggest organ is our skin, is the epidermis. So if we are constantly putting on clothing that has the frequency of a dying person, you can really think about, maybe perhaps that is affecting me and my lifestyle. And ultimately, like, how is that affecting the planet? How is that affecting everybody? You know, there was a time as one of my product offerings that I was working on doing a sexy woman's organic panty line. There was a panty manufacturer that I absolutely loved, and the cut was amazing. They were so sexy, so comfortable. I mean, it's just my favorite panty. So I got rid of a lot of the polys and a lot of the shitty materials. I mean, even laces, like all that beautiful stuff. Like it sucks. Like it fucking sucks. But yeah, I got rid of, well, I didn't have to. I wanted to. I genuinely want to wrap my body with the best frequency, energetic fabrics and things, and, you know, yoni oils and all that. So um yeah. So when I was calling different manufacturers around the country, I specifically wanted to work in with factories in LA. And I don't know, I have some lines in that part of the country, and I don't know, it just called me. So I ended up finding one, and then I was talking to some people even more so to find these fabrics. Like, how do you go about just like doing this? And a lot of them were like, Jenna, like, you're not going to be able to find this. Like, there's not that many people making cottons, making linens, and allowing it to have stretch. Like, you know, in panties, like there definitely needs to be a form of stretch. There needs to be like movement and comfortability as you're kind of being agile and moving throughout the day. You definitely want comfort. So they're like, it's nearly impossible. And so what also made it impossible is these factories didn't want the cross contamination, because if you have one machine over here in the same like massive room, even one machine over here making fabrics that are poly based, which is, you know, petroleum, and then over here, let's say there's another machine and this guy is doing cotton, there'll be cross contamination of the fibers, and so that can actually really fuck up and mess up the machinery. So these factories, because poly is so accessible and efficient and a lot quicker and easier to work with, they're just saying, all right, peace out, good fabrics. And the fabrics I'm speaking of are, it's 100% cotton and linen, wool. I know you don't want wool panties, but I'm just talking about the fabric itself. And those are usually, even silk, like silk is that they grab these fucking worms and they boil them right up and they make this fabric, which is really sad. Like that was a fucking kick in the throat. Maybe more like the stomach, but yeah, so the accessibility, and so just like learning that. I don't know how I got on this tangent, but I hope you're still listening to me. Yeah. So I'm here, and this has been a really beautiful road. It definitely hasn't been easy coming out to family, friends, society, social media, into the public and showcasing and admitting to your sexuality and embracing your body and loving it and having that energy field of sex is such a threat. It is. And, you know, I've received some hate, some gossip, some shame, a lot of the shaming. And I just don't care. I just, I don't care. Like that, it's not for you. And that just goes to show who you are as a human, and what you need to heal from. And if I'm triggering you, I'm being a mirror in which it is projecting back to yourself. Whoa, like this is something that I am deeply shameful of. And this is something that I need to heal, but most people don't. They're victim. So rather than taking their radical responsibility and accountability for their lives and really understanding what triggers are, they'll just kind of cast negative daggers at these people. So this has definitely not been easy. There's been some ostracizing of communities and feeling alone. But had I have not really like been alone in North Carolina and really step into, put these big girl pants on, I guess, it would have penetrated me, and I would have been completely affected and really, really hurt by it. But I'm not. a single bit. And I think that's usually the problem, is that we know who we are perhaps, but there is again that cap, and it's like, you can't be this and rah, so stay here and constantly be put in this box. But like, you can't, like, I'm the Jack in the box, I'm the Jane, I'm the Jenna, like I've come out. So like, there is no holding back for me anymore. Like, you can't put me back in a box. You can't put that old sweater on that doesn't fit, because you've grown out of it, because you've become who you are, and you stand so firmly in that. And that is just one of the most beautiful things that we can do, is be the weirdo, right? And to be the one that's cast out, and to look like an idiot to other people, but yet, like, being an idiot actually is a really big positive thing. um if you actually look up the definition. So yeah, this has not been easy. And what I have done is, even in yoga, when I had obsidian, I would hide behind the brand. I would hide behind the umbrella. And I was like, no, 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 no. Like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm just going to be underneath it, and I'm just going to operate it. But like, I'm just going to put the brand out there. And I've had a lot of people say, no, Jenna, it doesn't work that way. Like, you need to go out there. And I'm like, no, like, I don't want to, I'm scared. And I had to eventually look into that and say, okay, rather than just putting everything over on Elor's page, like this, like, you make this shit. So like, be it, and talk about who you are, and the years of work and study that you've put into this. I mean, it's been 4 years I've been studying a lot of this, and that's a long time. Like, I could easily have gotten a degree, but I'm going to degree and give a diploma straight up to myself, because man, I've learned so much more than any university, than any college, and any bullshit indoctrination camp can teach anybody. Like, this just isn't information that you find mainstream. Like, you actually have to go in yourself. Like, a headline, oh, it's so easy and convenient, thank you, headline, for giving me all the information that I need to know about life. No, it doesn't work that way. It takes curiosity. It takes this will to, like, no, like, I need to understand, I want to dissect this and dissect this. Totally. I need to dissect this. I want to know, and I want to know for myself, and I'm going to take that due diligence and strip the cognitive dissonance away. I mean, to be able to do that, and to even admit to cognitive dissonance, like, it's like, is that like, people do that? No, people don't. People don't do that. However, if you have a strong connection with your body, and a strong knowing that you can feel all of those veils, all of those conditionings and programs melt away. Like, why do they want to, like, minimize and limit the feminine? Because she is fucking powerful. She's so intuitive and intelligent and wise. Like, we are oracles. We have power. And it's not just this, like, oh, we have power. No, like, we have magic. It's like magical power that women have. And there's a reason why women are where they are today. Like, it's 100% planned. And I'm not here to be like, oh, we're just this victim. And sure, there is a little bit of this victim. However, like, you're going to continue to stay in that space if you don't say, okay, I've allowed this. I've allowed myself to be a victim here. I choose not to. I choose to look at the areas in which this one thing was trying to limit me. Okay, here they are. Boom, boom, boom. And then, well, bam, like, out. And then that's when you find your empowerment. It's the self-study. It's the deep desire to know and to understand truth. And how does that information feel in your body? How does that information digest and coming up with your own. I mean, you could even get some spiritual teachings and you're just like, oh yeah, like that's totally it. But if you're not really feeling into any of this information that's available, you're not using your own sense of knowing. And, let's say, for example, like me and another person, and we're looking at the same stuff, in her perspective and in her life and what she thinks, she could look at it one way and I could totally look at it at another. But if I can feel it in my body, and maybe let's say like I say no, then that's my truth, right? And if she says yes, but she has her own, then that's her truth. And that's totally okay. But you will find that although there are these different like not lineages, like trees of root systems of information and knowledge, there may be sprouts of different kinds of yeses and knowings and different interpretations, your own interpretation. However, the main root system and the trunk of the tree and everything, right? There's still this alignment. So, people can still also be within the same category. And I think having those facets of expression are really, really important to open us up and to make conversation. I mean, we were all the same. Like, look, trust me, like how many times have I wanted to be in a relationship and be like, dude, this guy needs to be this guy needs to be me, this guy needs to be more like me. But that wouldn't be fun. Like that wouldn't allow me to learn, that there wouldn't be this reciprocity of connection, of discussion, of articulation, of interpretation, like of depth. It would just surface and like that's it, right? So yeah, there's just a lot of us that aren't really into any of this. And I just like really hope that through looking at your pussy, you can know that I have the capacity to know everything to some extent in the human realm, but really and truly. So yeah, I mean, this has been a long time coming of not casting, of broadcasting who I am and how I operate. And, just the other day I had my, one of my photographers, Alexi, he's incredible. And I hate taking my picture, like fucking hate it. But I've like grown to really to enjoy it. That was probably one of the first photo shoots where it was just straight up me in my face, because if you see everything with Elore, I'm always representing the woman. I'm always representing the idea of this woman who is sexually empowered, and showing my face all the time. It's just like, no, I don't need to, it doesn't need to be me, right? Like, and I want that, whatever. So it's always usually my body shadows the fashion or lack thereof. And the other day was just straight up, okay, here's your face. So, and it works. It's like really synchronized with me showing up here and being on camera and having more of a voice, having more like, yo, hey, it's me. It's me. And that's okay. And that feels good. That feels really good to be me. And for more people for me to connect with. And if I'm not connecting with somebody, if I'm not having those deep conversations, like it's like it's hard. Like I can't exist in surface level conversations. Like it's just fucking, it's just like I'd rather put my clothes away. I hate putting my clothes away, but yeah. So here it is. Here we are. My name is Jenna McClelland. I am the creator and CEO, business owner, the visionary behind a woman's sexual empowerment brand called Elore. I make potions. I help women reconnect to their body. I represent sex as divine. I represent the co-creative energy that runs through our veins. And due to the deep type of healing work that I've done on myself, I have accessed my soul's calling, my mission here on earth. And It is such a pleasure. It is such a pleasure, figuratively and literally, to be here and to really connect with that and to say, okay, even though this is extremely taboo, you're going to do it. You're going to do it anyway. You know, even during the pandemic, you know, with all the masks and everything, I was just like, I don't care. Like, I don't care if someone comes up to me and says, put your mask on. Like, I didn't, and I wouldn't. And that gave me a lot of power. And had that experience, that 2020 vision not have happened, like when I look back, 2020 was fucking awesome. Like on a personal level, you know, I've never felt that much frustration in my life. I've never experienced that much rage. I've never wanted to strangle a human being in my life. And the pandemic definitely ignited that feline, that that dark feminine inside. So yeah, this is me. And I have so much to teach, so much to share. And I'm really excited about stepping into these shoes and talking more freely and openly as my best of ability. And as I think will be of service. And this may be for some people, and this may not. And again, that is totally okay. But I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with saying the word pussy. Pussy. Like it doesn't phase me. It doesn't bother me because I know what it means. And these like derogatory and these like certain words that have been so shamed, actually behind them is a lot of power. And you realize there's a reason as to why they have been changed. You know, definitions are changing all the time. So yeah, I hope this covers everything that I meant to cover. And then some. And thanks for stopping by.